All right. Hey, we're back. We're back for a second show in a few days. We did a video the other day. A lot of support. Can't believe you guys came out and supported that video as well as you did. Appreciate it. But welcome back to Off the Cuff. It is Sunday night. We're going to get it rolling tonight talking about Jared Goff. I've got about 10 other topics we'll discuss tonight, kind of all blending a few different sources here. And then, of course, I've got some video that I would like to share of Aiden Hutchinson. Talking about kind of what he's been doing this offseason, how he's changed his body composition. But he said something. And he said something that I've been saying for quite a while. And now it's finally come to fruition that his true best friend on this defense is somebody that you probably didn't realize. You might have thought it was another player on this team, another position, I should say, on this team, not a player. Because he's speaking about a position. So we'll start with that first. So let's listen to Aiden Hutchinson, and we'll welcome everybody into the chat tonight. We've got Tracy, Mile Marker 301, Salty Pork Chops. Rick is in the house. Mike P. Braylon Dennis, what's happening? And we got Michael Shembri, Donkey Kong, Super Bowl or bust as usual. And Bucky looks like he's in the house tonight too. So appreciate you guys joining us. There's Eric Uperlight's in the house. How's it going? But I want to bring Aiden Hutchinson's media availability and let's discuss it. Let's have a conversation about it because it was interesting and I love it. So we're going to start right with the first question that I really cared about, and we'll take a listen right now.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I know we got a lot of good additions, and I'm hoping.
Particularly in that secondary, how can I help you guys on the line if they want to do their as well?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
I don't know if you guys could really hear that. It's kind of tough to hear, but the first question is talking about the secondary and the additions to this team. So we'll keep rolling.
I know we got a lot of good additions, and I'm hoping that those guys can be as good as they're advertised. And you know, that's a DN's best friend right there is a corner that can lock down. So the more we have.
I don't really need to go any further than that. And I'm probably not going to, or at least I'm not going to right here at the moment, because a DN's best friend is a cornerback. Imagine that. A cornerback. And the reason why is because we were dead last just about in every passing metric in defense last year. And I think everybody was kind of on the same page that understood what was happening with this team, that we needed to solidify the back end of this defense. And Aiden just confirmed, as long as we can have somebody that can lock it down back there, the DNs are going to be able to work. And they're going to be able to get home more often. Now, Dan Campbell said the other day that sacks are not the end all be all. Like, he's not worried about getting more sacks. He's worried about maintaining the pressure. But if you maintain the pressure and now you have a lockdown defensive back, well, now that D end is able to take that pressure, take it up a notch, and get home to the quarterback. So I'm excited to hear this from Aiden, because he knows, as well as the rest of us, that when your defensive pass or your pass defense is that suspect, it is very difficult for those guys to be able to get to the quarterback in under 4 seconds. I mean, let alone that's the average time in the league anyway, is about 4 seconds that these defensive ends are able to get to the quarterback, and the quarterbacks are getting the ball off in about 3 seconds. So it takes time to be able to hold the quarterback, to keep them honest, to keep the ball in their hand. And then you got to corral them, right? You got to contain them. So if all of those things can be met by the defensive end, containing their edge and staying, with the pressure on the quarterback, and now you have that defensive back who's able to stay sticky, right? Lock it down, both sides of the field, that defensive end is going to get home. So let's listen to the rest of what he had to say. I'm super excited about Aiden this year. That's a first time ever that I'll say that, because the last couple of seasons, I knew that there was still a lot of development for him. And he's had excellent seasons. Don't get me wrong. There's just some things that he's needed to clean up. And I really feel like this could be that season. We finally see Aiden do the things that he was brought in to do. And that third season is the season that you're going to start judging these guys anyway, based on where they were selected in the draft. We'll finish up what he had to say.
Of those is the more successful our defense will be.
Let me rewind that just a minute.
That's a DN's best friend right there, is a corner that can lock down. So the more we have of those, is the more successful our defense will be.
I'm sure you've turned the page. How long did you dwell
I'm not going to bore everybody with this because the Lions do such a terrible job. Yes, they do a terrible job at some things, and that is miking up the reporters, the journalists. Like, at what point are we going to be able to hear the questions clearly? It's been a problem for years. It's audio, guys. I mean, it's literally $100 microphone times 5 or 6 or 10, and just do it. Like, come on. So I'm going to pull this off the screen because it's kind of crass on the ears. So anyway, that's what I wanted to start with tonight, talking about Aiden Hutchinson finally agreeing, or at least now we can kind of solidify where this defense was really lacking last year, right? It was the defensive backfield. Not having lockdown corners was a huge problem. And you heard it. Is the better that these guys are going to be back there, the better that defense is going to be. And I think that we've got some of the best cornerbacks and safeties now on this team in the entire league, especially if Terry and Arnold can continue to stay healthy and continue to develop and get some actual playing time this year. I mean, he will, but, get some real playing time this year as a starter. I think that sky is the limit for this defense. I really do. What you guys got to say about Aiden Hutchinson and cornerbacks? Salty Pork Chop says, all I know is Hutch better shave his head before the season. He plays way better when he cuts his hair. If you don't believe me, watch the tape. That's hilarious. He did have some pretty long curly hair going on last year, and then it just kind of disappeared, didn't it? Jeff Ormsby says, when the Lions got Jared Goff in the trade, I was happy they got a competent guy to hold the quarterback's spot down until they got the future of the franchise. Turns out they don't need a future quarterback. Good statement. AKA Card Carnage says Hutchinson is going to ball this year. Steve K says Aiden cleanup plus decent secondary equals 15 plus sacks this year. So let me ask you that. And I'm going to get to Eric's statement here in just a second. So let me ask you guys about that. Did the sack numbers really matter? I mean, Dan Campbell said they don't, right? But then AG said that he's got one of the best defensive line coaches in the league. And he expects this defense to finally start doing the things that he's envisioned, the things that he believes in, which is to get an interior pass rush, something that I've been speaking highly on for at least this last season that you guys have been listening to me, but for a few seasons now. When, I'm with the super fan groups or, the season ticket groups or friends, family, whatever, in my own channels before it became a YouTube channel, I was always clamoring for an interior pass rush, as well as having some lockdown cornerbacks. And now we're starting to see that we're getting a little bit of both. As long as they can blend and we can get at least better than average play out of all respects, right? From all positions. I think you're spot on, Steve. I think that it is 15 plus sacks. But here's the difference for me is I don't think that we're going to have one singular player that is getting all the sacks. I don't. I think what we're finally going to see this season is we're going to see kind of like a utility role for everybody. Everybody's going to get their hand in it, right? Everyone's going to get the hand in the cookie jar and get something. I feel like we're going to see more linebackers get more sacks than we have in previous seasons because now DJ Reader is able to open up holes on that offensive line, right? You got to commit 2 guys to Reader. You got to commit 2 guys to Aleem. On plays, you got to commit 2 guys to Aiden Hutchinson. There's not 6 offensive linemen. So I feel like there's going to be some holes. And I think that that's going to allow more guys to eat. And I don't think that it always has to be Aiden. I think as long as Aiden is holding down his edge, you're going to see guys like Marcus Davenport eat. You're going to see Kaminsky get his shot. You're going to see Pascal get his shot. Heck, you'll see Anzalone probably, running through the middle. But I'm definitely expecting Jack Campbell to get his hand in the cookie jar quite a bit this season. So I think it's going to be quite a few players getting in on the sack totals this year. And quite honestly, that's what you want to see. You don't want to see one guy getting all the stats. You want to see the group doing well. The more unified you are as a group, right? The more even you are across the group, then offenses really can't tailor what they're going to do to one side of the ball or the other, right? They have to respect the entire defense at that point. So that's what I'm really looking forward to this season. Is obviously a changed mindset. This defense is chippy, right? I mean, they are playing extremely hard in OTAs, And I'm really expecting to see this defensive mindset really change for the better. Aggressive. And that's what we need this year. Last year, it was aggressive play calling, but I felt like it was aggressive play calling without the right personnel. This year, we might have aggressive play calling with the right personnel, and now a defensive end's best friend, a couple of lockdown corners. So super excited to see all the changes. So Uberlights, Eric Wintemaki says, I read a story about Hutch getting to meet Eminem at the draft. They took a pic and it's on Eminem's phone. Hutch does not have Shady's number. I'm not sure what that says, Eric. Jeff Armsby says, agree, Hutch will ball out, but I sure wish they had one more better than average defensive end. The rest of the D line is so deep now. Let's go. So do you think that the Marcus Davenport maybe is not better than average? Is that what you're saying, Jeff? I mean, I guess I don't know yet, right? I mean, let's just be honest. I can't say that he is because he had a pretty banged up year last year. Didn't get a ton of PT, didn't get a ton of plays in. We need to see him perform. We need to see what he can do when he's healthy. But I think that the benefit of having a DJ Reader, right, and Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem Mcneil and Jack Campbell, who's balling out of his mind right now. I mean, playing really well in OTAs, just OTAs, but still, you can see, right? You hear and read about the progression from year one to year two and where he's at. It's the development of these guys from last season to this season that are going to make the difference. The rookies last year that step up this year, Brian Branch being one of them too, even though he hasn't really hit the field yet. When those players can be developed, right, be coached up and elevate their game, get bigger, stronger, faster in the offseason, have a full offseason to recover, that's when you're going to see differences on the field. And not only that, but you're going to be able to see the true potential of Marcus Davenport when the rest of that defense is fairly loaded, to some of your points in here. Braylon Dennis says, ultimately, it's up to AG to put guys in the right place. Good point. Braylon Dennis also said Terrion Arnold should play in the preseason. I hope that he does. I really do. Rick says turnovers, and we all know that turnovers win games. We need some turnovers this year. We didn't do a great job last season winning the turnover margin. That has to be an emphasis. Salty Pork Chop says, Will, I feel like if you throw Arnold into the fire too fast, you will have an Okudah situation where his confidence gets shot fast. Do you think he will be a starter day one? I think that Terrion Arnold is going to have to earn that position, just like Dan Campbell and AG all say. I do believe that he has a pretty good chance of starting as cornerback too. I think that Carlton Davis, as long as he continues on his preseason, offseason trajectory that he's on right now, continues to shine throughout training camp, I don't think that there's a reason why Carlton would not be cornerback one. And whether that's a traveling corner or he stays to the left side of the field, whatever it is, I think that they're probably going to try to pigeonhole him with the number one wide receiver. And I think you're exactly right. And I've spoken to the same kind of sentiment here, where it's best to allow your corner to slowly develop, right? You want to get this guy in as often as he can, but don't put his feet to the fire, right? Don't burn him up on day one. Don't let him go in against the Justin Jefferson, right? Week one. I know we don't play the Vikings week one, but you know what I'm saying. And get torched, because then his confidence is on display. And it would be very difficult to come back. The difference I think that we have between Okudah and Terrion is Okudah didn't have any veterans. He did not have any good leaders. He didn't have good coaches. He didn't have good, developmental coaches, positional coaches. That's a huge difference on this team, right? That is a huge marker on this team for how they develop, because they have the right guys to develop, right? They have the right coaches. They have the right mentality and the culture and everything that goes along with it. But the most important thing is he has good veteran leadership around him. Amik Robertson being one of them. Carlton Davis being another one. Ifeatu Melifonwu, into his, his fourth season or his third season. He's got plenty of guys around him that can coach him up and keep his head level-headed, if you will. Better the Hunt's in the house. Welcome in, Randy. Yeah, it's been a minute. Been a minute for me too. All right. So without further ado, I want to bring in somebody tonight. We were talking the other day about starting a new podcast, and it's going to be starting here very soon. So I wanted to bring the gentleman in that is going to be starting our All Grit podcast on YouTube. And we've already got the name and everything secure. So we should be launching the graphics and getting everything set up as quickly as possible. Now, this is a face that you may recognize, but he is somebody that is going to bring a lot to the table. He's going to bring a lot to Rocked On Podcast Network. He has already done an excellent job in other mediums and been working very well behind the scenes. I'm excited to have him. I think others that have been on the shows, Eric Rintamaki being another one's excited about this guy coming in. So let's give a warm welcome to the chef. We got the chef in the house. Yak, go ahead and let everybody know what's happening.
What is up, though, guys? What is up, though, Will? How is everybody doing in the chat? Hey, man. All grit.
That's right.
All grit all the time.
All grit all day.
All the time. What's going on, guys?
I'm excited to have you around, man. I think that a lot of people love what you do, and now we're going to be able to further that audience and be able to grow and have some really cool collaborations, some really fun, energetic podcasts. So I'm excited, man. I don't know about you, but I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited. Anyone that's checked out my pod before just knows that I love to have fun with it. I've got opinions, but my opinions are generally based in fact. I hate Jeff Okuda. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that Jeff's high on a lot of people's lists anymore, but I'll be honest, I feel like he was a product of the team. It was just the state of the team. I think that if he would have been under this situation, the Terrians coming in, I think that Okuda probably would have been better off. Injuries happen. You can't do anything about injuries, but who knows, right? I think we all say that. Well, would have been.
I think based on the philosophy, the pick didn't even make any sense because, Patricia was all about versatility. And you had a guy who was much more versatile in Isaiah Simmons. Now, Isaiah Simmons hasn't done great, right? But that kind of guy going at number 3 when you're all about versatility and position flexibility and all these things, I thought that would be the pick. But, it was what it was, and that's not what it was. But like I said, I hope that by the time we play the Texans, which I think was week 10?
November 10th.
November 10th. So I hope by that time Okuda's in the starting lineup. And I hope he's matched up against J-Mo.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Texans. So, yeah, I've been talking about the bus trips, and then bus trips are planned, right? The Eventbrite site. If you guys go to Eventbrite, I'll drop it into the chat real quick. If you go to Eventbrite, I got the Texans game scheduled. You can purchase your tour ticket. I started this company, Fan Possible Tours. We're going to be doing tours to all the away games. This year, we're only doing 6. Where is it? Where did I put it? But anyway, you can purchase the entire tour on Eventbrite. Obviously, it's a legit site. I had to do all the, I had to identify myself and do all that stuff. So it's a legit site. You guys can check it out. If you want to do it in installments, it's going to be set up through a Stripe account. So I have a merchant account that you can pay installments through. You'll get receipts, all that good stuff. But let me pull this up here and share it real quick, and then I'll get off this topic. But you brought up the Texans, so I guess I got to talk about it now.
Well, I can confirm that Eventbrite is a legit site. I did buy some tickets off of Eventbrite last year to go to a clothing expo. So, and I was allowed in. So they were legit tickets.
Well, yeah, Eventbrite, they've sold 90 million tickets worldwide. Yeah. But this is my site here. So it's just like a website, right? The Ultimate Detroit Lions away game single tour experience. Now there's another one called the dual tour experience where you can buy 2 tickets. The difference is you get a discount because you're going to be sharing a room with a buddy or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever. So you can check out Eventbrite. There is a link in the description of this video for this game. All of the other games should be up by tomorrow. And you better get them quick because they are going to go quick. Now, the overnight trips. So it talks about the event, right? Tells you everything about the event, the deposit, when your second installment is, when your third installment is. And here, let me make this a little bigger. There we go. It tells you what the gold standard inclusive tour means, everything that's included, 3-star or better accommodations, how much luggage you can bring, all the activities, the raffle that's included. We're giving away $400 custom memorabilia in a raffle just for buying a ticket to the tour. You're going to be entered into that raffle. It's only the people that buy a ticket to the tour that can win it. And that's for every tour. We're giving away something of that value. So pretty incredible piece of Lions stuff, right? And then you got all your disclaimers, waivers, and all that good stuff. So anyway, check out the Eventbrite website. The information, again, there's a link in the description of this video. And then I'll be posting everything, on the Twitters and all that good jazz too. So join us, man. This is going to be an epic event. We're going to be doing 6 tours. So Bears, Vikings, Packers, Texans, Cowboys, Colts. It's going to be an epic time. There's only 50 seats available. Well, actually 48 seats available per tour. And I know that probably by tomorrow, there's only going to be about 40 seats available per tour. And they will go quick. So get your spot. And no, sorry, we don't have any buses going to Australia.
No, that's not gonna happen.
Not anytime soon. So why don't you tell everybody, what are we going to get from this All Grit podcast? Are we going to get some sassiness? Like what are we going to get? Because, my deal is this. My shtick is I'm all about the facts, right? I love to dive deep into the facts. I like to have great conversations. We like to have the fans involved, right? The audience members involved, but the Lions fans, we like to have them involved. I know you're going to do some live shows. You're going to do, some videos. What type of content are we going to bring to the All Grit podcast that's going to get these guys excited?
It's funny. You should ask about sass because I was called sassy in one of my pods because I was talking about Trevor Sikkema and his list. And I just didn't like it. So yeah, I will bring some sass. I will bring some levity. I'm a fun guy. I'm not gonna do the Kawhi thing. I was going to, but I don't know if everyone will get it. But I like to have fun. I like to. I love football, man. I love football. I love the Detroit Lions. I love to talk about the Detroit Lions. I will be critical of whoever needs to be critical of. That's just part of the thing. I'm not going to always blindly just love everything that happens. If someone drops 5 passes in a game, I'm not going to be happy about it. No, that person's not named JMO.
Well, hopefully not this year. Hopefully not.
I'm a huge JMO supporter, and JMO is someone. I think JMO for a lot of people is like Jeff Okuda for me. But with JMO, I like to look at the fact that his career didn't start out ideally. You know what I mean? So I'm going to give him a little bit more rope because I see the talent there.
Right.
I had an interesting interaction with a gentleman on another network that said that he couldn't see any talent in JMO. I was like, yeah, okay. I don't know what kind of drug you're smoking, but you should stop.
Yeah. Hey, well, shout out real quick here to Braylon Dennis. So Braylon, I don't know if you're asking a question, but it says bus going to Chicago, Green Bay, and Minnesota. If that is a question, the answer is yes. So the bus will be going to the 6 away games that I've selected. Obviously, I didn't go San Fran and Arizona. Pretty far for a bus. And at that point, it's going to be cheaper to fly. And I did check, flight prices. I tried to get group flight prices to Dallas and Houston, and it was cheaper to take a bus. But, to be honest with you, the luxury charter It's an experience. That's why it's called an experience. We're going to be doing live podcasts from the bus. We're going to be doing live podcasts before and after the game. We do Q&A sessions with the fans. It's just going to be a great time. You get custom t-shirt. You're going to get a Lions grab bag. Like I said, the raffle, you get your hotel included, your ticket included, your bus charter included, parking, surcharges, tolls, any other fees. Obviously, there's some things that are not included, but Houston one, we're going to be doing a turned up tailgate with some Houston barbecue with a local Houston restaurant. Does really good barbecue. So you're going to have all sorts of cool things, music, events, card games, trivia, you name it. We're going to do all sorts of stuff on the bus. But to answer your question, Braylon, yes, we're going to be hitting up those 3 away games. So I guess what I heard from you is that you're a realistic fan. Basically. Yeah. So, I mean, we're kind of two of the same. I'm realistic. I'm not going to blindly follow or, just drink the Kool-Aid to drink the Kool-Aid. I mean, look, I'm a positive guy. I like to have positive energy about my team. But at the same time, if there's tough conversations to have, we're going to have them. Right. I mean, if there's tough things to say, we're going to say it. But that doesn't mean the next week when those guys bounce back that we can't, root for them again because the week before maybe we got on them, and I think that's maybe a disconnect that some fans have is they hear people get negative and it's like then that person can never be positive because they were negative. Well, it's just not the way it works. If you want to be realistic and have your eyes wide open as opposed to being half shut all the time and just kind of leading the blind, you won't get that from me, and it sounds like you're not going to get that from Chef either. So what do you say? You want to go through some topics tonight?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, man. Do you have something else you want to say?
No, I was just going to piggyback off of what you said. It's just basically, I think, our fan base is a little bit different. We've been traumatized by a lot of things. So I think whenever someone hears someone being slightly negative, it goes into the SOL thing. And it's like, SOL is a different breed of people. If anyone has seen the movie Misery, right? It's an old movie.
Is that the one where she breaks his ankles with the thing?
Yeah. She's got him out in the shack out in somewhere, and it's So Misery loves company, and this is what an SOL fan is. A realistic fan is like, I'll give you a perfect example about myself. When I first started into this, this podcasting journey and this Lions content creator journey, I was not a fan of Jared Goff. Because I, like many other people, thought that he was a bridge quarterback. I saw the playoff game where he was, benched for, what's that guy's name? Was it John Wolford? Something like that. And then he had to come back in. He had the, after thumb surgery and all these things. And then he got, jettisoned out of Los Angeles. And of course, when he first got here, it just wasn't going well. And I think he was making poor decisions. I think he was also not surrounded by any talent. But then also there was the thing about us not really understanding that he didn't have any development really in Los Angeles. Sean McVay wasn't interested in developing a quarterback. Sean McVay was interested in micromanaging Jared Goff. And that's why he got Stafford, because he's like, well, I don't have to micromanage him. I can just let him go. So there were just deficiencies that Jared Goff had because he had Jeff Fisher as a coach, I think is an awful coach. You may disagree. I think he's terrible.
No, I don't disagree about Jeff Fisher. Absolutely not.
I mean, even as the Michigan Panthers coach, he was bad. But anyway, so he had Jeff Fisher as a coach. Then he had McVay was just trying to hit the ground running. So he didn't have any time for that. So there was the thing about, oh, well, hey, McVay is in his ear up until the time where they cut you off, right? Because I think it's like 15 seconds before the snap, you can talk to the quarterback. So, I mean, that's not development. That's not having any trust. If my coach is talking to me, telling me what everything, what the audible should be, what are we checking down to, and then 15 seconds, and then I can just go relay the play, we line up and we snap the ball. I don't have any opportunity to kind of see the game myself and come into my own. And this is the situation that Jared Goff was in. And we've seen him develop. We've seen him grow these 3 years that he's been in Detroit. So I'm excited for Jared Goff now. I used to say that he could be my starting bench quarterback, but I don't say that anymore.
So what you're saying is you've kind of come around the horn a little bit on Jared Goff here.
Around.
Yeah,
I've come around.
So I mean that's good because that means that you're not a dinosaur stuck in the mud, right? I mean you had an opinion about the guy coming out of LA probably because of everything that you heard and everything that you read, and then after his first season, it was like, yep, well, he's who we thought he was, right?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Now it's different because I think that, like you and myself, you realized he didn't have any talent in 21. He had nobody on that offense. The entire team had nobody, to be honest with you. I mean, What did we do? We gutted 80 some odd % of that team from 2020 and 2021 was 80% different. And now it's close to 95% different from 2020. I mean, that's a huge change, but you have to remember that 80% difference from year over year is huge. And even to get to 95% now, we're still losing, 10, 15, 20 guys a year, to make those swaps. Right. So, look, Jared Goff definitely is not a bridge quarterback. I think he's proven that he's good enough for Detroit. And I want to get into that right now. So NFL analyst predicts that Jared Goff is going to put up monster stats in 2024. And the reason why I put that on the graphic, about, you thought that Jared Goff couldn't throw the deep ball. Not you personally, but that's all we've heard. Jared Goff can't throw the deep ball. Jared Goff can't throw the deep ball. Jared Goff missed Jamel. Jared Goff underthrew this. Jared Goff underthrew that. And all we've heard from OTAs this year so far, Jared Goff's hitting the deep ball. Jared Goff's hitting Jamel. Jared Goff's hitting Jamel in stride. Jared Goff and Jamel are finally clicking. If you guys would have, listened, and I'm not saying you didn't, and I'm not saying I'm always right. I'm not, but I said that it was going to take time. It was going to take time for Jamel and Goff because Jamel missed year one. He pretty much missed all of year one. No training camp, no nothing, no time to gel. Then year two, he gets suspended and he gets hurt early in the season. So he pretty much missed year two as well. There was no way for those guys to click. There just wasn't enough time. I don't think that people understand that when you have an offseason in the NFL, it's not like you can just go out and do what you want. There's rules. There's a collective bargaining agreement that says you can practice this amount of times for this long. You can wear pads these many times. So there's just not as much time as what you think there is. Yeah, they could go to each other's house and go play catch in the backyard, but that's different, right? That's not game type situations. So it was going to take time. And now you're starting to see that level of continuity, right, come together finally. So what do you think about the fact that Jared Goff and Jamel are starting to click? Like, you pretty excited or what?
Super excited. I'm super excited. Like I said, I call myself the official keeper of the JMO. Like I don't want any JMO slander over this way. But as you said, it's the same situation. His career didn't start off great. There were a lot of, I guess you could call it turmoil. There was a lot of turmoil going on around JMO. But I want to address something in the chat as I get into this. Someone said, here it is. It says that Mark Liebe says Goff's passer rating on that awful 2020 Lions team was better than Stafford's career average with the Lions. Well, that's great, and this is why I'm not an all stats guy. This is why I'm not an all numbers guy, because we have this thing called the eye test. Okay, and it looked awful. It just looked awful. And then, but when we're talking about 2020, right? Okay, we just said there was no talent in
2021. Actually, 2021.
In Stafford's career years, he had a guy named Megatron. He had Nate Burleson. He had people to throw the ball to. He had people to hand the ball off to. So it looked better. And it's now surprising that you say that, okay, the QBR, the passer rating was higher for Goff. So now when we're coming into Goff having talent, Goff having weapons, I mean, the sky is the limit. How can you not be excited? And this is the same thing, not just with JMO, but look at Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, some people kill Jahmyr Gibbs for dropping some of those passes that he dropped. But I was like, if you look at it, it's just they're not clicking. You know, Goff's and Gibbs weren't clicking on some of those throws, even if they're short throws. So now with Goff having time to learn these receivers, learn the running backs who were new last year, man, it's going to be fantastic. I just can't wait for the season. I can't wait to see what this offense does and how they continue to grow and develop.
So I love stats. I mean, you guys all know that. I go deep into the stats. I get wicked with it. I go into some real deep rabbit holes into stats and analytics and KPIs and everything else. And it does tell a large part of the story, but there is that component of watching what's happening on the field, your eye test, as you like to call it. And that is a very important piece to this, because when you're looking at players, right, you can see their stats, but you could look at JMO, last year through one given period or the year before. I kept hearing this argument about JMO, and this is where stats can lie, right? Well, he's got just as many catches as touchdowns. And it's like, come on, are you guys being serious right now? Like, the guy's got 3 catches. He's got 3, come on. Like, right. You can't do this. That's where stats can get you in trouble. Shout out to Sick Argument, because he clearly knows some stats. And this is what he had to say. He said, Josh Allen metrics versus Jared Goff. Over their best mano-a-mano, Jared Goff has more 10-plus yard throws, 20-plus yard throws, and 30-plus yard throws than Josh Allen. Altogether, 180 more throws from 10 to 30 yards more than Josh Allen, who only has 1 extra game than Jared Goff. That's huge. And that's the big part of the argument for me with Jared Goff is not everyone, a certain collective of people that really dislike Jared Goff would say that he couldn't throw the ball deep, right? But the fact is, the stats do tell you that's not true, because he has one of the better completion percentages, over 20 plus yards, and more explosive plays, which is 20 plus yards through the air, not just caught at the 10 and then run for 10 more. It's caught, in the air 20 yards. Look, Goff's got an amazing cast around him this year. Sam, I know we don't have Josh Reynolds. That one's going to hurt. But you still have Khalif, who's already starting to play well. JMO's starting to click. St. Brown's been doing St. Brown things as he always does. The guy just has to stay healthy, right? They all need to stay healthy. Sam Laporta, best rookie tight end to ever play in this league in 20 plus years. He just needs to come out and have a very solid average season, based on some of the best tight ends out there. So if he goes 808, I'm happy with it. If he gets, 60 catches, I'm cool with it. As long as JMO can do the same. As long as JMO and Laporta can kind of run neck and neck to each other, and they're both having good seasons, and St. Brown can do his thing, 100 plus catches, 1,500 yards, 10 TDs, we're good, because we still got Gibbs. We still got Montgomery. We still have other talent with Traquan Smith and Antoine Green and others. I mean, there's talent on this team. And once we get through the 53-man cuts, there's going to be some openings. And the Lions, like I said the other day, $39 million in capital available here very, very soon. So I know they got close to 30 right now. And as soon as Cam Sutton's salary is waived off, the Lions are going to have close to 40 million. So they're going to have plenty of cash to do whatever they want with. So what do you think about the fact that the Jared Goff is, leading one of the better quarterback arms in the league at explosive plays?
I knew that last year. I wasn't surprised. I knew that during the season. Again, Jared Goff is not going to stand on the 1 yard line and throw it to the other 1 yard line. He's not Michael Vick. He's not Matthew Stafford, but that doesn't mean that his arm is weak. You know what I mean? He's sometimes the ball comes out a little duckish, but it gets to where it needs to go. So I'm not surprised at Jared Goff. Again, as we said before, underthrowing Jameson Williams on deep routes was a product of timing. It wasn't a product of not being able to throw the ball deep.
Yep.
If you look at someone who is often compared to Jared Goff with Tua, remember that first video that you saw of him throwing to Tyreek Hill and Tyreek Hill having to throttle down to catch the football. Okay, well, that's because Tua hadn't been throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill. You have to get adjusted and acclimated to the speed of the receivers that you're throwing to. That's why quarterback is such a difficult position to play. Yes, you may be throwing the football to 5 guys out there, but each of those guys is a different guy. Each has different tendencies. Each runs their routes differently. Each has different speeds. So it's not like just throwing the ball around the 5 guys at the park. No, quarterback is a difficult position. So I am not surprised at all. Like I said, because I did know that last year that Goff is kind of up there.
Yeah, he's definitely up there, and he does have a few bad throws. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks have bad throws. They're just not as highlighted as often as what I think Jared Goff's very few bad throws are. And there was a statistic that I threw out a couple seasons ago when everyone was talking about Jared Goff's arm. And I said, look, there was this competition or something like that happened. I think it was back in 2019, maybe, but it was like all of the quarterbacks, minus very few, that threw in this competition. And they measured all the quarterbacks' arms. And Jared Goff had the 3rd fastest ball speed out of all of the quarterbacks that were currently in the NFL as of 2022. And it was like 54 something miles an hour. And I think Josh Allen had the most ball speed. Matt Stafford had like the second most speed. So he was 3rd. He was 3rd on that list, and he was separated by about 4 miles an hour. Now, 4 miles an hour, that's pretty quick when, in terms of a baseball, but in terms of football flight, that's not going to make or break the difference of a route being run and missing a ball. You know what I mean? It's just not. But getting up and trying to hit a baseball, 96 to 100 is a big difference. Big difference. Just not a big difference. To your point about learning different, wide receivers in their speed, it's almost like, being a NASCAR racer, right? And then they say, here, put on this blindfold and go jump in this Indy car. It's the same thing. It's like you have to readjust. You have to learn everything. And it's not the same. You could blindfoldly do it in your NASCAR, but you can't do it in an Indy car. It's totally different. So you have to learn that's what practice is for. That's why they do these things. Right. So, exactly. All right. So next topic here, I'll keep going with this one. So this analyst, they were pretty split on Jared Goff. So you had Mike Clay projected that Jared Goff was going to have his worst season ever of his career in 2024. Who is Mike Clay?
He probably works for CBS.
Right. No, ESPN, actually. So then there's Pro Football Focus Trevor Sikkema, who I'm kind of sick of Sikkema. I've seen some things of his lately. He ranked Goff as the 16th best quarterback in the league. 16th best. Brock Purdy, Jordan Love. I mean, there was other ones that were ahead of him. Brock, sure, you could put him ahead only because he's gone further in the playoffs the last few seasons. But Jordan Love, are you serious right now? Caleb Williams hasn't even taken a snap in the NFL. I mean, come on, guy. And then with the bad side out of the way, right? Then you have Bleacher Report's Gary Davenport, who's projecting that Jared Goff is about to go off in 2024 and be one of the best quarterbacks in the league again. Davenport projected that the stat line, he projected a stat line for every expected starting quarterback in 2024, and he gave Goff some pretty good numbers. So 67.1% completion percentage, 4,713 passing yards, 31 TDs, which I feel is a little light. I think that Goff could get up to 35 this year. And only 10 interceptions, which is pretty solid. So not bad. Not bad. Now he's only about 138 yards away from hitting that passing yard number last year.
Yeah.
And his completion percentage was 67.3 last year. So just a little bit of a downgrade. Overall, though, according to his projections, this would put Goff at 7th in completion percentage, 3rd in passing yards behind Mahomes and Stroud. Man, that Texans game is going to be epic. Make sure you guys check out Eventbrite and go buy your tour ticket today. Tied for 5th in touchdowns, 22nd in interceptions. So I'm all in. What do you think?
Can I address Trevor Sycamore?
Please do, because I haven't done it yet. I might do a scathing video of him next week, but go for it.
So I saw him come on another podcast, and he was trying to explain himself. Now, while he was explaining himself, he revealed that PFF, which I believe
hold on real quick. Which show did he go on?
He went on the Woodward Heavyweights.
Okay.
So now I believe that PFF, because they do such a fantastic job with stats and everything, I think that's why they're the go-to publication. He admitted that PFF has made up this stat called big time throws, and it is a stat for narrative pushing, because he said that even with this stat that they made up, they don't like to define it. So if you're making up a stat and then you don't want to define it, that means you want to be able to use it whenever you want to say, oh, this quarterback is better than this quarterback, instead of actually just using the stats that they're so adept in. No, they've made up a stat. The thing with Jordan Love and the thing that people are doing, it's not just Trevor Sycamore. Mina Kimes did it as well. What's that guy's name? Nate Tice or something like that. They had a quarterback draft where if you need a quarterback to win you a Super Bowl within a 3-year window, Jared Goff was number 18. He was the one picked at number 18. They drafted 17 quarterbacks before Jared Goff. And the narrative that everyone is using with Jordan Love is, hey, you know, those first 9 games, they don't matter.
Right.
Those 9 games, they don't matter. Only the last 8 games matter. And while he did throw the football into harm's way and lose that San Francisco game.
Wait. Back up.
What?
Did you just say that someone said that Goff threw the ball in harm's way?
No. I'm talking about Jordan Love.
Okay, I got you.
Jordan Love. Yeah, because on that last drive, he threw that interception that he didn't need to throw because he was trying to push the ball down the field instead of taking the underneath stuff. And they had like 1 minute and 20 seconds left. So he had time, but not understanding and being an immature quarterback, he tried to force it into coverage and it got picked and they lost and they went home. But we're just going to discount all of those things when it comes to Jordan Love. But with Jared Goff, I don't know. We just have to nitpick. We have to make up stats. So the most egregious and outrageous thing that Trevor Sycamore said while he was trying to defend himself and explain himself, he said that he has no problem putting Goff into the top 10 if JMO, you guys listen, you ready for this? If JMO has a bunch of yak, if he takes like short passes and it just gets a bunch of yak, and I'm like, what does a 2, 3, 4, 5 yard pass through the air that eventually goes to 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 yards, whatever, on the legs of the receiver? How do you put the quarterback now in the top 10?
That doesn't make any sense.
Nothing.
No sense at all. So hold on, Trevor. Like, dude, who does he work for again?
PFF.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense because PFF is all over the place. But
he's a draft guy.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's that.
And that's why he put Caleb Williams on the list at all, because he's a draft guy. Forgetting the fact that Caleb Williams had 20 turnovers last season at USC.
So, this is the funny thing to me. You're going to sit here and berate, or berate a quarterback in Jared Goff who's been a league leader for the last 2 seasons. He's pretty much been a league leader all but 2 seasons, his rookie season in LA and his rookie season in Detroit. He's pretty much led the league in just about every measurable stat you can think of in the top 10 his entire career. He's got more playoff wins, appearances, Super Bowl appearance, more than anybody in the league right now other than Mahomes. And I think there's one more. Mahomes and one more. Who's the other one? Purdy, maybe? Purdy might be up there now. So anyway, Goff is like in the top 4, right? For playoff appearances, Super Bowl appearances, playoff wins since like 2017.
Right.
But you're going to sit here and tell me that it's okay to put a quarterback in the top 10 because he throws for yak and not throw for explosive. That's totally backwards. That makes no sense to me. But that's exactly why we do this. This is why we dig into this stuff. All right, so let me get into this one here. Go ahead.
And the other thing that he said was the reason that he has him at 16 is because when he steps outside of the framework of the offense, he doesn't offer as much as the other quarterbacks that are above him.
But he doesn't have to.
He's being knocked for having a good offensive line and having weapons and things of this nature. But there's not going to be a scramble drill. That's not what he does. You know, he's not Patrick Mahomes, which is why, okay, you don't rank him over Patrick Mahomes, but you don't put him at 16. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you know, I'm kind of sick of that one too. Well, Goff wouldn't be Goff if he didn't have this great offensive line. Well, you know what? Neither would any other quarterback that's winning in the league, because if you look at every quarterback that's winning in the league, they generally have a pretty darn good offensive line. So, yeah, I don't get it. Next up, we'll move on from Goff for now, but interesting conversations on Goff, man.
Yeah.
The guy just can't win. You know what I mean? It's just like he does so well. He turns a franchise around. He turns his career around, which I don't think it really needed to be turned around. I think that Sean McVay scuttled his career, you know, by the things that he did, his actions, the things, you know, that he said. But that just wasn't who Jared Goff was. That's just the picture that he was painted out to be, right? Then shoved in a box and thrown to UPS, go somewhere.
Yeah.
And now he just completely gets crapped on by everybody after having one of the best seasons he's ever had in his entire life and totally turned around a franchise in one season, almost taking us to the Super Bowl. But hey, Jared, dude, I got you back, man. Always have. I didn't think you were a bridge quarterback like this guy. But yeah, the stats told me something different in 2021 when you were entering. Matter of fact, I compared you to Stafford and like they were identical. And guess what? They still are. It's crazy. The stats are almost identical.
Were you a big Stafford guy?
Yeah. No, I love Stafford, man. I think that, you know, there's some things that I wish that he did differently. There's some plays that I'm sure he wished that he had back, but I think that Stafford had the tools clearly, right? He just didn't have a complete team around him. There maybe was 2 seasons that he had a decent enough team, 14 being one of them, 2014, that he could have done something with it. And I felt like he pushed the ball too much, took too much risk too often. And that's why his interception numbers were what they were. And as he's gotten older, I think that he's, you know, a little bit more wise, you know, a little bit more confident in what he knows how to do, and not to take all the risk. But he also only had Calvin Johnson, really. I mean,
he had Titus Young.
God, don't even get me going on that. I mean, he had Golden Tate too, right? But and then who else did he have? He had who's the other guy? Oh, side is killing me.
Yeah, so Nate Burleson for a bit.
Burleson, yeah, that's I love Burleson, man. Burleson, he was great. So Jameson Williams, improvement. Head coach Dan Campbell praised wide receiver Jameson Williams as the most improved player heading into OTAs, highlighting his enhanced route running and consistency. Williams is expected to play a crucial role as the Lions' number 2 receiver as the season gets started. I'm excited about this. Look, I've been very critical of JMO. And by the way, I have made a very exclusive list. Jameson Williams has blocked me from Twitter. So thanks, JMO. I don't know why, but I guess you blocked me because you couldn't handle the heat. Look, man, I'm just a realist. So I give you the praise. You probably have now missed all the videos where I've given you all the praise for how you performed at the latter half of the season. And I'm giving you the praise now. Just don't gamble it away. Never mind.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, look, I'm looking forward to it. I think that sky's the limit for JMO. He definitely has the skill, the speed. Just needs the hands, right? Few less drops this year. Hopefully he got some new contacts, no more balls bouncing off his face, and we'll be all set. Anything you want to add to Jameson Williams' improvement and expectations this year? And then I'll shout out 501st Legion here in just a second.
JMO, he's done everything that we asked him to do this offseason. He's put in the work. He's honing his craft. He even said himself, he said that when he came in the league, he had some childish ways, and he wanted to do things the way that he wanted to do them. And he just realized that, just do what you're supposed to do your job, take the coaching, and you'll be on the right path. So I think he's on the right path. And then also, let's not forget about his run game contribution.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be
it's something
crazy.
we've had small glimpses of, and it's there. Like it's a whole nother chapter of JMO that could be open this year. Super exciting stuff.
So Brad Holmes traded up for a reason. And I think that this is the season that we see exactly why he traded up, because that type of offense, he's going to open up the middle of the field for Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if you are silly enough to single him up one-on-one down the field, that's 7. So, or 8 if Dan wants to go for 2. But
yeah, good old 4th down Dan. I tell you what, man. Like I said, sky's the limit for JMO. I think that as long as he can put it all together this year and stay healthy, he's going to have a very productive season. This is the season that he gets judged. I mean, the first year was a redshirt year because he was coming off of injury. Everybody expected something, but I was kind of back in the tank. Like, look, we're not going to get much from him this year. It takes time to relearn your body and feel comfortable again. Last season, I felt like he finally became comfortable, and I think it was the Denver game that he went up for a ball, landed very awkwardly, like hyperextended both of his knees. They like went behind him or under him, and like he popped up, army crawled to the sideline and was like, wait, I'm good. Like I'm not hurt. And I think it was at that point he finally developed the confidence. And it was from that moment on that he really started to play well, and had more than 3 catches in a game. Had a few catches extra here or there, and he had his moments. But now he's going to have to be a staple on this offense as the number 2. And the one thing that I really enjoyed listening to JMO say this season was he's matured, and he recognized that he was immature and that he had some growing up to do, and that he just needed to do his part, learn his role, stay in his lane, so to speak, and things will be fine. And the fact that he's recognized that will speak more volumes to how he plays this season than anything else. The fact that he knows he had some growing up to do, because that tells me things are starting to click for JMO. Not that it wasn't before, but he was young. I mean, we've all been young and dumb. JMO been there, done that. Dude, you don't even want to know half the stuff I've done in my life. But anyway, shout out to 401st Legion. He says Goff is being mocked for being on time for his throws, being efficient, doing what quarterbacks are supposed to do. Thank you for the $4.99 donation there. Appreciate it. And you're spot on, man. Goff does all the right things, and he seems to just get laughed at and mocked about it. That's got to come to an end. Even if I swear, if he wins a Super Bowl in Detroit, when he wins a Super Bowl in Detroit, I still don't think he's going to get credit. It's going to be somebody else. It'll be St. Brown. It'll be Penei Sewell. It'll be Frank Ragnow. It'll be somebody other than. Matter of fact, it would probably be JMO before Goff gets the credit. To be honest with you, that's how sad it is. You know
Well,
what it is? Sorry, not to just keep badgering this. You know what it really is?
Yeah,
All of those people were wrong on Goff.
that's true.
They were all wrong. So now they can't handle the truth, right? They can't handle it.
A few good men.
Yeah, there's only a few of us.
I mean, being wrong is it's more admirable when you can admit that you're wrong, because then you have more credibility. If you keep just digging the same hole, it makes you look even sillier. So just chalk it up. If Jeff Okudah turns into an all-pro cornerback, I'll have to admit that I was wrong. But
I think that ship has sailed, buddy.
Yeah.
Look, we all have our moments. I mean, look, at the end of the day, every single one of us is pretty much built the same, right? I mean, we all bleed. We're all human. Well, at least most of us. And we all make mistakes. So, yeah, if you're wrong, you're wrong. But there's just something about media personalities that work for these 3- and 4-letter industries that just can't admit it. They have to snuff it out. As opposed to just admitting you screwed up and move on, admit that you were wrong and go give praise where it's due. And I think that you would be liked more. Be honest with you.
They all have BAS.
What's that?
Brad Allen syndrome.
Brad Allen syndrome?
Yes.
I like that one. I didn't catch it at first, but I got it now. All right. So Terrion Arnold. Terrion Arnold's starting role. So rookie cornerback Terrion Arnold has been running with the first team defense during OTAs, lining up opposite of Carlton Davis. Very strong performances during OTAs indicates he is on the track to secure a starting position. I know we spoke about Terrion Arnold to kind of start the show tonight. But look, I'm all on board for Terrion to get, a lot of PT this year. We definitely need to strengthen that passing defense. We were ranked 29th or 28th last year. This defense needs to get into the top teens. In my opinion, I think that we need to be into the top teens to really have a successful season. Where do you think that this pass defense belongs this season if everybody stays healthy?
Okay, so I don't like doing this because the same reason that I kill Trevor Sikkema and people like that for talking about rookies. I feel like there's a certain section of the fan base that expects for Terrion Arnold to be Sauce Gardner.
Yep, we've heard that.
And I don't expect him to be Sauce Gardner. I'm a former cornerback myself, and I know how difficult it is to play the position. You have to think about it this way. You're running backwards, and you don't know what the person in front of you is going to do. Right? So unless you are a guy like Stephon Gilmore, who I'm very high on Stephon Gilmore because of his study habits, the tendencies that he understands from the other team. So if Terrion Arnold, and I don't believe Terrion Arnold will be wide receiver 1. I think I said before that Terrion Arnold and Carlton Davis are not projecting to be CB1 and CB2. I think they're projecting to be whoever is the body type of the receiver, because I think we've heard that Carlton Davis isn't great against the smaller, shiftier receivers, right? He's better against the big body guys. So if you're going to say, all right, we're playing the Seahawks, Carlton Davis is the one that's going to be on DK Metcalf.
Right.
And Tyler Lockett would be taken care of by Terrion Arnold. But I'm not ready to discount Amik Robertson. So this is the thing. If this secondary can ride this competition, because as Brad Holmes says, it's going to be a bloodbath in that CB room, right? If they can ride that competition into a very, very solid rotation of cornerbacks, I think that this secondary can be top 10. I believe it can be. Will it be? because we have two rookies in that secondary remains to be seen. But if they pan out to what you believe that they will be, you know, Sauce Gardner notwithstanding, because I don't need Terrion Arnold to come in and have a Sauce Gardner type of year. I just need him to come in and learn from those veterans. And I don't even need to see him on the field week one. Like I think Braylon Dennis said earlier, yes, let's see him in the preseason, but I don't need to see him on the field week one. I need to see him just steadily progressing. And then we just have to like his confidence and his energy is just so contagious. So we just want him to do well. Like he talks so much, but it's like so good and clean and wholesome. I don't want him to ever get burnt. I don't ever want to see him, to give up a touchdown. I'm just gonna feel so bad for him. So I just want him to
part of the
live
job
up to that. I know, but I just want to see him do well. So, like I said, I think it can be top 10 if everyone pans out to what you believe that they're going to be.
I'm in the same boat with that. I mean, I think my retort to kind of what you just added there is a couple of things. I do like, and I've spoken about this too. I do like it's CB1, CB2 just because you got to identify somebody on a depth chart. I think that they're going to go back to or for the first time in this defense, a traveling system, right? To your point, maybe Amik takes the bigger guys, Terrion takes the shiftier guys. You've got Amik Robertson too, who's been filling in at the slot while Brian Branch has been rehabbing, his cleanup procedure. So Amik is getting real comfortable in the slot right now as a nickelback, which is where, again, I said that he was going to primarily play this season. We could see Brian Branch bounce back to safety. It very much could be that way. We don't know yet, but it could be. So I guess my comeback to that would be the traveling system works. I like it. I don't want to have to fit a round peg into a square hole. Do what they do best. You hear AG say that all the time. Let them do what they do best. Well, AG, you have to actually let them do that. If they're not good against small, shifty receivers, don't let them match up against one. Play to your strengths, right? And as far as him playing week one, look, he's a first round pick, number 24. Our defense was crap last year in the passing defense. He's got to start. If not, he at least has to play in sub packages on every series. Is I guess where I would say, maybe he's in, a bigger nickel. Obviously he'd be in a nickel. Clearly he would be in on the dime. But I think that he would have to be in on some sub packages. I'm expecting him at this point to earn it, and we'll see what preseason says. I hope that he gets, if he's not playing in preseason, I'm telling you right now, if he's not playing in preseason more than the rest of the ones, he's starting week one.
Yeah.
Guarantee it. And shout out to Randy, Better the Hunt. Says he's liking the chemistry between you two. Keep it up, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's it's going pretty well.
Appreciate it.
It's going pretty well. So next topic was Brian Branch's injury, which I just spoke about. Safety Brian Branch has been sidelined until training camp, following a cleanup procedure that Amik Robertson has been filling in for Branch, particularly in the slot, showcasing his versatility and readiness to step up as well. So, big time things are happening on the field right now. What I really love about this is we got guys that can fill in that have, a high level aptitude for the game. Amik Robertson isn't coming to this team, just because. He came to this team because AG and Dan Campbell trust what he does on the field. He's probably one of the toughest dogs on this team. Amik is a scrapper. What do you think about Amik Robertson's versatility with Brian Branch out? Taking reps at both, kind of in the slot and on the boundary a little bit. His ability to play multiple positions. I mean, are we going to peg him anywhere, or is he going to be that utility player?
That's a tough one. Going back to what you said, I mean, obviously Terrion Arnold he was traded up for in the first round, but like we said, he's going to have to earn it. And Amik Robertson is not going to just let him earn it, right? He's going to make sure that he earns it. So I think iron sharpens iron, and that's going to be a great situation. As far as a Meek, I don't know, man. I think he was coming into his own last season with the Raiders, and that was due to obviously injury and the circumstance with Marcus Peters, who pretty much just started sucking and just quit it on. He quit on the team in the middle of the season. So Amik Robertson had his opportunity, and he did well. So I'm not sure. I think he definitely will be a utility guy, but I think it's a really good problem that we have right now. Last season we had a different problem, and that was we didn't have any talent. Now we seem to have too much talent. So it's going to be very interesting to see how AG gets all those guys on the field together. I mean, we're talking about Brian Branch going back to safety. Then what happens with Iffy and Kirby? You know what I mean? So I think there will be a lot of interesting packages. This gives AG a chance to be creative. So we'll see how creative he can be. But Amik, I think probably the ideal situation would be that Amik would start in the slot and Brian Branch would move back to safety. But is he the center fielder that Kirby is, or is he pretty much the same as Iffy? So I believe Kirby is the only like true center fielder that we have on this team. So hey, I think it's going to be good.
So if memory serves me right, which some days it doesn't, I believe Brian Branch was a free safety.
Was a free safety?
I believe he was a free safety. Hold on a second. Put it this way. He would take over for Kirby, not Iffy.
Right.
Yeah, Kirby would be the guy. And that's because they're very similar in positions that they've played.
Mm-hmm. So are you comfortable with Kirby being on the bench?
I'm up and down on Kirby. I think that Kirby's kind of been up and down. So I don't know. I mean, he's going to have a really good season. I mean, this is the season where Kirby's got to show what he's got too. And, if he really came alive last year, I like if he, mixing it up. I think that if Brian Branch is back there, I don't think that we would have a drop off in talent at all. If anything,
right.
Brian Branch is more of a field general type. I mean, he's a hard hitter. He stays sticky. I mean, he gave up like minimal yak yards last year. Wherever the guys, caught the ball, he dropped them right there. I love that. Kirby, he's not like that. He gives up way too much space. Yeah. He's not up in their face. He's, it seems like he plays more off, whereas, Brian seems to want to get in their face and play more, man to man. Brian Branch, I don't think he's as fast as Kirby. I don't think he has the speed, but I don't think that he's slow either. I mean, especially in a safety position, if he's up over top, unless it's a big dime or big nickel or a dime package, where he could be one upped with somebody, as in a safety position. It could be more of a tight end downfield. I don't know. I'm not worried. Let's just put it that way. I think that Brian would do fine. Last year, Dan Campbell had alluded to the fact that, they threw him into the nickel. They kept him in at nickel. They didn't want to throw too much at him, and he just kind of settled in. And this year, he's going to learn the rest of the safety positions that he didn't get a chance to learn last year. I don't like the fact that he's not on the field right now. That's what I don't like.
Yeah. But I'm glad to see that if he's on a scooter in a walking boot, it's not as serious as it looked.
Yeah, it was just cleanup. Arthroscopic surgery is funny. There's depending on how minimally invasive it really is. I mean, you still have some, ripping and tearing going on in there, and holes being dug through muscle and whatnot. So it's still invasive. But I guess to back that up, between Amik Robertson and now Sion Vaki. So Sion Vaki, 2024 draft pick by the Detroit Lions. Look, this rookie's been getting some pretty significant reps. He's demonstrated his versatility and potential to contribute both in the running game and as a receiver out of the backfield. But he's also been getting some reps on the defense. So I'm really excited about Vaki. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the little clip of me going crazy when we drafted him. I went nuts because that was one of the guys that I said that belonged on this team and belonged, as a Detroit Lion, and Brad Holmes made it happen. So I'm excited to see what he can do. In my opinion, Craig Reynolds is the odd man out right now, as long as Vaki can keep it together. But I don't think that Vaki's not going to make this team. I think that there's some stiff competition now. Let's just put it that way for Craig Reynolds.
Yeah. Well, first, I think that they need to propose a rule change next year. Call it the Netflix rule. So we can get 60 people on our roster, so we can keep Netflix on our roster.
There we go.
Sione Vake, man, again, like I said before, I was a victim of watching the combine, and I just looked at him at the combine, and I was like, I don't really know about all that. I think his hips are kind of stiff, and then I turned that tape on, and he instantly became one of my favorite players in the draft. He is a heat-seeking missile on that defensive end. What did he have, like 7.2 yards per catch per reception or something like that? Just crazy. He's excellent in the wheel routes, so I think that's going to be one of the packages that he's in. I think he offers a bunch of versatility. I mean, as a former, I guess you could say, offensive coordinator myself, right? A package with Sione, Monty, and Gibbs on the field at the same time, like all lined up like it's a wing tee or something like that in the backfield.
That would be crazy.
It would be deadly, So there's a lot of things that this guy offers to the team because of his versatility. So I definitely believe that he's making the team. I would be extremely shocked if he did not make the team.
You know what? I think that to some of these people's points in here, this one I don't understand. ZZZ Lion says Branch won't be a factor this year. Too many injuries too early. I don't know what injuries he had that are really going to affect him. I know he had a minor ankle injury. This was just a cleanup procedure. And Bucky said terrible takes. That he must have been talking about that. Yeah, I don't know about all that. But anyway, as far as Sione Vaki and Craig Reynolds and roster expansion and all that stuff, I never understood, why they would cap a practice squad so light. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you're going to call these guys back anyway, for the most part, if the NFL just looks around and they say, okay, you cut X, Y, and Z, and every year you bring them back. So maybe we should just open up the, practice squad, a few more guys, right? Add a couple more guys to the regular roster. It's not like they have to count any more than the top 51 contracts as it is. I mean, what's another $2, $3, $4 million per team? You're talking another $150 million a year to keep a few extra guys around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that crazy when you look at how much money the NFL's making. So I think that they need to keep.
Even with that emergency quarterback rule, I think there's like some sort of finagling that they have to do with that. Like he's got to be on the active roster for a certain amount of days. It's just like, man, just make the active roster for game day, just make it 56 players or something like that. Just so you can have your emergency quarterback and you can have a few other players. Like, I don't think it's that difficult to do.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. Speaking of practice squads, John Doe says, did Arrogant Bugs get cut yet? I don't know.
Listen, if you have been watching the Kansas City Jailbirds, off season.
Oh, it's been terrible.
He's not getting cut, bro.
It's been terrible. I mean, we got Rashee Rice. He's gotten in trouble multiple times, and he goes out and what does he do? Hand out pizza in the hood or something?
Yeah, in Dallas.
I mean, come on. And then Bugs is he pulling a Michael Vick? Is he fighting dogs or something?
He's not fighting dogs. He was neglecting them. I think one of them had to be put down or something because he left two unattended without access to food or water on some property in Alabama. And I
Like,
think
why
they
would
said,
you
like,
do that?
I don't even know.
My God, these guys make enough money to pay somebody $150. Here's the keys. Go take care of my dog. You know,
Yeah,
drop him
I
off
mean,
at a daycare.
I would like to think that it wasn't done intentionally, but then at the same time, like, how do you forget the fact that you have two living things on a property somewhere?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So you know what's crazy, and this is where we talk about. We got two more topics left here, quick ones, but this is where we talk about culture, right?
Yep.
I would give anything to have a Super Bowl in Detroit. Absolutely, I would. I mean, I think that a lot of us would. Would love to have the right team put together, which I think we do. We have the right team, right? We have the right mentality, the right culture, the right everything. We just have to get there. But at the end of this season, all you guys are getting in trouble. You know, everyone's getting pulled over, going to jail, you know, dog issues, you know, whatever, wrecking Ferraris and Corvettes. There's just tons of issues going on. That's exactly what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are trying to prevent, because that does not help the team. Those are distractions. So for a first time ever, a team has a chance to three-peat, and they've got too many off-field distractions that are going to prevent them from three-peating.
Xavier Worthy dating strippers.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, just too much to go on. I'm just glad it's not the Lions anymore. I'm glad that we don't have these issues. I mean, we've had a couple of minor blips, mostly the gambling issue, but that's really all we've heard in the last few seasons. So next up, Hendon Hooker's development. Rookie quarterback Hendon Hooker has been participating in OTAs, working on his mechanics and learning the Lions' offensive system. His development, in my opinion, is crucial for the team's future at the quarterback position, meaning future backup. There's been some talk that Dan Campbell's kind of putting the screws to Hendon a little bit. Like, look, you got to learn this offense. You got to show us why we picked you. It's time to or get off the pot. This is a big season for Hendon, obviously coming off of injury, rehabbing all of last season, pretty much redshirting the majority of the season. It's time for him to put it together, right? It's time to show why the Lions did what they did to make him the future quarterback or the future backup. And at this point, I think he's obviously just the future backup. So what do you think about Hendon Hooker? I know he's had a pretty decent OTA, but at the same time, he's thrown, a couple of interceptions and had some hiccups too, which are expected. But I think for the most of it, it's gone pretty well for Hendon so far.
Yeah, I don't read too much into the struggles in OTA unless you're Caleb Williams. But the struggles that he's had in OTAs have also been, side by side with the successes and the strides that he's taken in OTAs. I mean, his first season, he was rehabbing an injury. That's a lot to get through. He wasn't able to take, the live reps. He's just back there getting mental reps and things of this nature. So now that he's developing and he's getting better and he's out there, I mean, Dan Campbell said he's going to get a ton of reps, and that's best for him. He's going to get a ton of reps. The whole trading Hendon Hooker, if he turns out to be something, was silly. We have the Tim Boyle experiment. We have the David Blau experiment. We have the Chase Daniel experiment. And none of those guys were going to win you any games. I've said it before. I don't know how Tim Boyle is in the league. I think he had in his college days, it was terrible. His stats were terrible. Something like 0 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. I don't know how he got into the league. I think he has some pictures. But
yeah.
So to have a competent backup quarterback is all we need. I mean,
that's right.
Jared Goff threw for 4,500 yards last season while simultaneously having 1,000-yard rushers. Now I know Jahmyr Gibbs had 945. It's not exactly 1,000, but he did have 1,261 overall, right? 1,261 scrimmage yards. So if you can throw for 4,500 yards while having 2,000-yard rushers behind you, I think you're doing pretty good. I don't think you need to be threatened by the backup.
No,
but we do.
But we do need
to
a solid
have a backup. We do. Yeah, we need that.
We haven't really had a solid backup in to your point, you mentioned those quarterbacks. It's been many seasons since we really had a quarterback that could come in off the bench and win us a game. Yeah. And that's what we're looking for out of Hendon Hooker. Gosh forbid, something happens to Jared Goff. We need someone to come in and hold it down, at least get us out of the game that we're up in, or if you got to get us some points, then you got to be able to go in and run the offense. And that's what Dan Campbell's looking for right now, to make sure that Hendon Hooker can run this offense. Because I got to be honest, I do not want to go through another season with Nate Sudfeld somehow ending up as our backup quarterback, because he's just absolutely god awful. Last two guys here, Jack Campbell and Alim McNeil. So Jack Campbell has been working. Sorry, yawns are coming back. So Jack Campbell has been working with the first team defense, integrating well and showing his potential as a key defensive player for the Lions defense this OTA season. And this is a guy that's got to take a big step forward. So Jack Campbell had a pretty impressive season last year. He was mentioned for the defensive rookie of the year. Clearly didn't come close, but he had a pretty solid season. I think that we saw glimpses of the guy we saw at Iowa. Someone that was very dominant, someone that very heady, always in the right position, thumper, someone who's always working at that football, trying to create turnovers, drop back in coverage well, was able to mix it up and make plays, got an interception last year, right? I think he got one.
Did he?
Jack hit one? Maybe he didn't. Maybe I'm thinking of Iowa right now.
Yeah, I don't think he had any picks last year.
I thought he had one, or he batted the ball down or something.
He probably batted it down. I don't think he had a pick.
Oh, man, you can tell it's been a while since I've been on a live. So, look, this guy has got to take a big step forward. What do you think for Jack in his second season? Is it going to be sophomore slump or sophomore flurry?
Just listening to what AG said about him, I would think it would be a sophomore flurry, more so than a sophomore slump. So basically, the confidence that AG has in him being able to get in and transform his body. He said he's a man. He said he has that green dot energy. I think he wanted to say big D energy, but he couldn't because he was, he was in a press conference. But he said he had that green dot energy. So he's the future Mike backer for this team. And I just think the expectations that he has for himself, the fact that he feels like he let the team down in that San Francisco game, and that eats at him. I think he's going to have a fantastic season. Once the game slows down for these guys. And the reason I don't think that he had a sophomore slump is because in his rookie season, it didn't start out like his hair wasn't on fire when he came in. So he just kind of kept gradually getting better throughout the year. And he still had almost 100 tackles. So I think that now he starts to put things together. The game starts to slow down for him. He's not thinking as much. He's just doing see ball, get ball. And the fact that DJ Reader is there. That's the big thing, right? DJ Reader is there, is going to be taking up those blocks in the middle. So if you're coming down on the run game, your guard or your tackle is not going to be able to get to the second level because they're busy with DJ Reader, and it's just you and the running back in the hole. And as you said, he's a thumper. So he's going to thump people like DeAndre Swift.
Yep.
Right. So things of this nature. So I think he's going to have
I can't wait to see those two meet up in the middle of the field. Look, Jack's going to be impressive in 24. I think that he's definitely going to be one of the guys to watch, especially to your point behind DJ Reader, kind of what I opened with, that, if you've got DJ Reader getting doubled and Alim McNeil getting doubled and Aiden Hutchinson getting doubled, that's only going to open up the defense for players like Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone. We have not seen a ton of linebacker blitzes. Last year, we saw some safety blitzes, some nickel blitzes, some corner blitzes. We didn't see anything really from the middle of the field. Our guys are constantly getting dropped, into coverage. This year, I think that changes. I think that when you have more of a competent defensive backfield, you got DBs that can cover, you got safeties that can cover. I think that you're going to see AG open up his playbook just a little bit. And we're going to start to see some linebacker blitzes and feeding this defense through the middle of the field, which is where it belongs. I've always spoke highly to interior pass rush. If we can get it through our middle linebacker, Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader, Aiden Hutchinson will be able to eat. Davenport will be able to eat. But at the end of the day, it's just hold that containment and let everybody do their job. That's all they're going to have to do. The sacks will come. You don't even have to work for it. It's almost going to be like when you want a sack, you can go get a sack. But is that part of the play right now? Is that part of the plan right now? You know what I mean? Or is it not? So Aleem McNeil and his consistency, look, he's jumped out to be probably one of the shiniest spots in OTAs. He's really shown his presence during OTAs, anchoring the defensive line, showing his improvement and his run stopping abilities. Look, they don't have pads on. They're not doing much, but he's getting around the field. So this is another season where we're going to see, wow, this is the first time I think I've seen a player go through the final year of his contract. So this is Aleem McNeil's final year. I'm surprised that they're letting it go to this extreme where he's not signed or extended. But with all of this extra money that they have, are we going to see the Lions, one, maybe try to eke out some sort of an extension before the season starts? Or are they going to let him ride and just see how good he can get? I don't know. I something tells me that they don't want to lose Aleem, but if he goes to free agency next year, someone's going to pay for him. What do you think?
Like you said, I don't think that it's advantageous for us to let him go to free agency, because then we're going to have to be dealing with the other 31 teams in the league kind of bidding against them. But what I do think, I believe that they better pay him before that happens, because he is next to DJ Reader, right? If you look at Trey Hendrickson had 17 sacks next to DJ Reader. As soon as DJ Reader leaves, Trey Hendrickson is like, I want my deal. I want it now. I'm not waiting until next year, because he knows that production is going to go down.
Yep,
right.
He knew.
He knows that production is going down. So if that's your running mate, if you are right next to that guy, and he's going to be taking up the majority of the double teams. And Dan Campbell also mentioned that when we talk about having someone on the other side of Hutch, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be on the other end. It could be a 3-tech like Aleem McNeil. So if the Lions are projecting you to have a big season, your head coach is projecting you to have a big season, you're in OTA showing out, you're showing the improvements that you're making, I don't think that the Lions should let him go. I think that they need to, with this Cam Sutton situation, I think it's like a post-June 1st type of deal, right?
Yeah, so we've already got like 29.8 million, but the post June 1st, so June 2nd is the first day that these designations could start to unwind and hit the books.
And that's today for you, right?
Yeah, it's today for us. So the Lions should be having, they should have close to, that's right. They should, it's crazy. I'm talking to a guy in the future. Look at that's weird.
Exactly. I am from the future.
From the future.
Gonna be cold. It's going to be cold today.
So I'm excited for all of these things that we're talking about. These topics have been a reflection on the current progress and the key storylines emerging from the Detroit Lions OTAs this week, providing, solid insight into player development and the team's preparations for the upcoming season. Look, your Detroit Lions are on pace to really have an amazing season. Just how amazing is yet to be seen. I predicted that they'd be somewhere north of 13 wins again this season. I don't know if you really do predictions a whole lot, but it's early. Like I said, I wanted to get through training camp to kind of see where we ended up health-wise and what players emerge from the draft and the second year players, where are they at? But I still think that they could be north of 13 wins. I really do. Especially the more I look at the schedule. And as I look at the schedule, they could definitely be more north of 13 wins if you guys go to eventbrite.com and check out the Rocked On Bus Tours, which is called Fan Possible Bus Tours, and join us on our epic nationwide journey this season. Do us also a favor and like, share, and subscribe tonight's video and live stream. We would appreciate it. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm back in the saddle finally. I'm glad to bring Chef on tonight. So to wrap this up, man, I'm excited about the All Grit podcast. Don't forget the All Grit podcast is going to be coming to a YouTube channel very soon. In the next week or so, we should have things launched. I don't think that we have an exact date just yet when he's going to get rolling on content, but give it a week or so and we'll do an official launch and get things rolling. Anything you want to end with, wrap up with tonight?
That's it, man. Like I said, just excited, all grit all the time. I used to have a grill. I could put it in and go, but I don't have it anymore. It was a prop. I did a movie with a friend of mine.
I don't even want to know.
I got it off of Amazon. It was like, but anyway, all grit all the time, man. Just we're gonna dive into a lot of Lions content. Like we said, there will be SAS. I will be coming at PFF. I will be coming at people, CBS, for all their asinine lists that they make. And just trying to be a voice for the Detroit Lions fan base. We're talking to the Detroit Lions fans. We don't care about other fan bases. And we're trying to represent with this, I guess they call it the new media, right? We're trying to represent for our team because the national media is not going to give us the respect. So we're always going to give the respect. We're also always going to give the truth. We're always going to give the facts. And that's what we want to do. So all grit all the time. And that's what it is.
So you might see a logo very similar to this as far as like a channel logo. And then my other podcast, The Blue Zone, is going to be starting soon too. Another channel coming to a YouTube channel near you very soon. So excited about all of the growth. Definitely excited to have you join Rocked On Podcast Network. And then one more time, if you guys want to join the Texans tour, check it out on Eventbrite. This is what you'll see: the ultimate Detroit Lions away game single tour experience. I think you can just probably Google this too. But the Eventbrite link is in the description of tonight's live stream. It will also be added to the bio. It'll be added to the Twitters. It'll be added everywhere. So you'll have a place that you can get it anytime you would like. And all of the rest of the games will be added to it. Look, very inexpensive. We don't make any money on this. I'm putting all of this together for the fans. That's what we do, for the fans, by the fans. We make it fan possible 2024. Let's go support our Detroit Lions across the nation. 50 super fans on a bus. It's an experience, man, you don't want to miss. And over the next couple of years, if things go well, my goal is to turn this into a full-fledged event company. And we're going to get all 32 teams involved, and we're going to be traveling all over the place, having some fun. So you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will talk about Matu Betts, Tracy, when we come back. Matu Betts has been having an excellent OTA season as well, showing a lot of speed. But I'll talk about him later on in the week, and we'll recap OTAs, one final time here, probably by Tuesday morning. I think I'll probably do it on the morning show. But don't forget, Rise and Grind morning show, 8 a.m. tomorrow, right here on Rocked On Detroit Lions, Rocked On Podcast Network. Chef, thanks for joining me tonight. Look forward to the All Grit podcast. We'll talk to you guys here very soon. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Go Lions.